this is my sister-in-law, Cullen. As you can see, she didn't finish college and, well, she looks it. Just think of her as a maid.
Just in the worst way possible, Carrie introduced me to her friends like this. Instead of using my name, Carrie, who refers to me as just a high school grad, had now labeled me as the maid. I cast my sabayas down to the floor. Then I heard a gasp from the daughter of a CEO, one of her friends. I'm Cullen, 36 years old. Currently, I'm a housewife. Before that, I worked part-time at a CD shop. It was there that I met my husband, Kyle, who was a customer. This led us to getting married, and now we have a 2-year-old daughter, Shannon. Kyle runs a knit company with his father-in-law. Kyle's father-in-law and mother-in-law, Susie, are nice people and they live together. Despite being part of a lovely family that treats me well, there was one problematic person in the family. It was Kyle's sister, Carrie.
What, you didn't even go to college?
This was the first thing Carrie said to me when I went to greet the family after getting married. I replied, "No, I didn't. I wanted to start working early. I didn't think they'd want to hear about their own daughter's bad side from their daughter-in-law."
Oh wow, look at that. A grasshopper who can't think beyond immediate needs. Don't you know that common sense says not going to college decreases your lifetime earnings? Or couldn't you figure that out? Wow, people really do exist with such unfortunate intelligence from birth. And now in my own family, how embarrassing.
From the beginning, she criticized me for only having a high school diploma. Since then, Carrie started calling me just a high school grad in private, but never in front of father-in-law or Susie. But I couldn't bring myself to tell father-in-law and Susie about it. Only when she talks to me directly does she say, "Your final educational background is high school." As for Carrie, she graduated from a prestigious women's college and works at a bank, truly a person of impeccable education and career. And
from my perspective, someone who's been to a proper college and has a proper job, I can't even begin to comprehend your life or your way of thinking.
she couldn't stand my very existence, and this inexplicable anger extended to my daughter, too. Right after I returned home safely from the hospital after giving birth, it began. Every time my baby cried at night, Carrie would barge into my room.
Just get her to stop crying or at least give me some noise-canceling headphones.
She would say such cruel things to me, who was already struggling postpartum. I did retort, "Haven't you heard crying is a baby's job?"
What are you talking about? All the babies in diaper commercials are always smiling. Suffering like this without a care for surroundings must be due to some genetic issue, a gene that lacks consideration and causes sleep deprivation in others. Such low intelligence must run in this family of someone with just a high school education. But the same continued even after my daughter weaned, when she hit the terrible twos and had tantrums. Oh, disgusting. A child of a high school grad has such low-level demands. I want to wear a red sweat. What is that? Are you Little Red Riding Hood? It's so annoying. I can't stand it. You should be eaten by a wolf.
What kind of words are these for her own niece? Regardless, she always uses old tales in her examples. She even went further.
Can't you just stop the high school grad brain from spreading? What if it infects others? She said, and started opening windows all around even though it was winter. To Carrie, just a high school grad had become synonymous with a virus.
The same Carrie, who harasses me daily for being just a high school grad, invited her friends over one Sunday.
The daughter of the president of a company listed on the first section of the Tokyo Stock Exchange is coming, she boasted cheerfully from the morning. You, a mere high school grad, wouldn't have the chance to meet someone like a president's daughter, lol. Actually, if you were to make friends, maybe with a CD salesman, lol alias.
She taunted me endlessly, saying, well, even a high school graduate should thoroughly know her place. I'll let you see the president's daughter. At least make some tea, high school graduate. Said, tilting her chin up.
Carrie obviously took great pride in having a friend who's the daughter of a president of a major listed company. I thought she was the same as always, but I also thought this might turn out tipsing. And that afternoon, the president's daughter arrived.
I only heard greetings at the entrance, and then footsteps heading straight to Carrie's room. As I went to another room to get the tea, I passed by the entrance and caught a whiff of the floral note. The perfume she seemed to be wearing. I prepared the tea and placed cookies on a plate and knocked on Carrie's door where the two were.
Come in.
See as I entered and placed the tea and cookies on the table. While doing so, I could feel the presence of the president's daughter greeting me, and I also sensed through the atmosphere that Carrie was looking down on me with arrogance while watching my every move.
You thought she was the maid, right? This woman, actually she's Carrie. Well, I'm even reluctant to call her Carrie, and I really don't want to think of her as family. Sorry for the unsightly view. She didn't graduate from college, as you can see, just a pitiful Carrie. But well, use her as a maid as she looks.
I received this non-introduction. So after just a high school grad, now I'm a maid. Always looking down on me, but I raised my head. And then Carla, long time no see, I said to the president's daughter.
What? Cohen?
Carla was surprised and confirmed my name. I knew this would happen. Carrie's voice flipped. You know her?
Know her? She's my benefactor.
Carla, the president's daughter. I nodded and then told Carrie I suspected it when I heard the company name. So I came to serve the tea as instructed, thinking to let Carla know it's really been a long time. You were still in middle school when we met. You've become so beautiful.
Really been a long time. You were still in middle school when we met. You've become so beautiful.
Carla looked at me nostalgically, blushing, but then her face turned pale. Her lips, originally pale, turned completely white, then trembling.
This is too terrible, she muttered with suppressed anger.
What do you mean? With trembling lips, Carla shot a question at Carrie.
You're mistaken, Carla. She's just a high school grad, right? It's strange enough that she knows you, let alone being a benefactor, isn't it?
Carrie screamed with a forced smile, trying to smooth over the situation, but it seemed she had hit a strange switch in her head. The next words were even more derogatory towards me.
This woman is really stupid because she's just a high school grad. Even her child cries terribly.
Wait, the child walking down the corridor with a stuffed animal. It's normal for a kid that age to cry, right? You were the same? And you're saying these awful things just because Cullen is just a high school grad. The reason I'm doing my current job is thanks to this teacher, you know?
Oh, what? I'll just...
Mrs. Carey's eyes widen.
Edging her just by her job and being just a high school grad.
Carla's voice was cold. Carey made a noise like a deflated frog.
You don't know anything about family. This person, she has so much more to her.
Then Carla and I conversed in Spanish for about 20 minutes. During this time, Carey didn't interject. She repeated inarticulate noises in between. After about 20 minutes that seemed to continue, Carey finally interrupted. She asked, "What does this mean?" I immediately confronted Carey.
Feel free to join the conversation in Spanish, but you're just a high school grad. So what?
But you're just a high school grad.
Just a high school grad. So what? I answered because she just looks down on me for being, I'm just a high school grad. She doesn't investigate anything else and keeps parroting, she's a high school grad. Like a parrot.
He informed Carla, then Carla, in disbelief, said, "This person is my dad's benefactor. I won't allow her to be reduced to just a nickname, like just a high school grad."
I even get emotional hearing this story. Carla began telling about her dad and me. My dad was in his 30s, I was already born, and as a president's son, he went to Spain betting the future of the company. But even though my dad is so dignified now, back then, he barely spoke Spanish. In the midst of that pressure and homesickness, he was almost broken. In such a situation, he stopped by a bar.
Das mir unbestandlich. Added a bit to the story, as I say. I didn't think I had wanted to be a musician that could make it abroad right after high school. I took a trunk and flew to Spain. I want to do what I want now. So I won't regret it later. I thought I should do something I couldn't if I thought too much about the future. And so I was singing in bars at night to earn money. That's where I met Carla's dad. He was sitting in a corner of the bar, holding a cup of alcohol, teary-eyed, looking down. In that country, I met many people like that. Some, like me, decided on their own to chase big dreams. And others were sent over with the fate of others on their shoulders, like Carla's dad. Spain is such a country, and a country where many are overwhelmed by loneliness. Carla continued, and then at that time, Cullen sang a song for my dad, the famous Stand By Me. Cullen sang it to my dad, who came to Spain alone, changing it to Stand By You.
Cullen sang it to my dad, who came to Spain alone, changing it to Stand By You. I'm here with you, my dad said he can never forget that night. He felt lonely, but the young girl he met at that place sang for him. He felt he wasn't alone. That day, Dad talked a lot with Cullen. He was impressed by her courage to come to Spain with just a trunk. And even though she didn't speak Spanish, she learned it by listening to songs and was able to speak it joyfully. They kept in touch as friends. Even after 15 years, they were still exchanging Christmas cards. Fryer returned to America. but I wanted to stay connected with music, so I worked in a CD shop. I added a word out of embarrassment, but wanting to continue touching music is very Cullen-like and nice. Is it when I entered middle school and struggled with studying Spanish? I said, I don't get Spanish anymore. It's not fun. Dad said he knew someone who could make Spanish fun and introduced them as a teacher. That was Colin, who had returned to America. Colin let me listen to a lot of Spanish music, teaching me from the ones easy to understand. It was fun to hear Spanish in songs, and I wanted to know more.
Carla smiled at my interjected words and continued.
So when I entered middle school and struggled with studying Spanish, when I said, I don't get Spanish anymore, it's not fun. Dad said he knew someone who could make Spanish fun and introduced them as a tutor. That was Colin, who had returned to America.
But my dream didn't work out, and I returned to America. But I wanted to stay connected with music, so I worked in a CD shop.
I added a word out of embarrassment.
But wanting to continue touching music is very Cullen-like and nice.
Carla smiled at my interjected words and continued.
So when I entered middle school and struggled with studying Spanish, when I said, I don't get Spanish anymore, it's not fun. Dad said he knew someone who could make Spanish fun and introduced them as a tutor. That was Colin, who had returned to America.
Owen let me listen to a lot of Spanish music, teaching me from the ones easy to understand. It was fun to hear Spanish in songs, and I wanted to know more.
To think of such a benefactor of my dad and me as just a high school grad, really? Carla posed, then facing Carrie.
Carla paused. Then facing Carrie,
Said with contempt. She spat.
What? Wait, Carla.
I won't wait.
But, right, it's troubling, isn't it?
You got your job by saying, I'm Carla's friend. Right? Friend, right?
Oh, wait.
This time I was the one surprised. But Terry couldn't stop. She looked at Carla with a pleading gaze.
That's right, so...
It's not that's right, is it?
Carla's gaze was cold. Then she continued.
Also, about school, you were in a combined middle and high school, right? That's fine. But while everyone was busy getting qualifications during college, you didn't do anything, right? All you ever say is, I'm a thoroughbred from a prestigious school since elementary. Hearing this, it made sense. I sighed and picked up Carla's statement.
Those who have the least to offer often belittle others. It's so true. You've been calling me, just a high school grad and unfortunate intelligence, but you're far more unfortunate.
Carrie bit her lip as I, who she had looked down upon, said this. But she couldn't stand being told off by me.
But you didn't study either.
She never tired of saying it to me again. She insisted on having the last word.
Colin has language certifications, you know? My mom said, if you're going to have her as a tutor, she needs to have proper qualifications. So when Cullen first became my tutor, she quickly got them.
Who are speaking the language there, so it's not something to boast about,
I said, embarrassed. Carla, she told her and looked down at her.
Reuniting with my teacher and hearing such a joyful story. This is where our relationship ends. I'll tell Dad about what happened today.
Hey, that's
I'm sorry, but I don't have to stay silent anymore. This will probably also reach the bank branch manager, but enjoy the sound of Carrie hitting the floor after being shaken off by Carla.
And what happened? Did something break?
Kyle ran up the stairs and knocked on the door. I opened it. Kyle entered and was speechless at the sight of Carrie crawling on the floor. Sight. I told him about being looked down upon as low-educated, how it escalated to harassment of my daughter, and how everything was exposed with the visit of the president's daughter, my former student.
South a lot, it's normal for kids to cry. I married Cullen because I fell for her knowledge from living abroad. Haven't you ever talked to Carrie? I thought it was obvious from a short conversation how knowledgeable she is to look down on someone without asking anything and not experiencing Cullen's wisdom. That's truly pitiful. Artness of a person isn't just measured by academic scores. Wisdom as a human is different. In that regard, you should realize you're at the bottom.
Kyle delivered the final blow to Carrie. Carrie left the room, heartbroken. Carla stood up to leave. Then, hearing the commotion, a surprised Susie came out. Carla explained everything to Susie. Susie was very surprised to hear this story she didn't know. But my daughter Shannon, who was listening, said, "Aunt always calls Mom just a high school grad."
And always calls Mom just a high school grad.
As a nice daughter providing crucial evidence. The usually gentle Susie and father-in-law became furious upon hearing this.
Get out.
Carrie was not only kicked out of the house, but also the company. Carrie voluntarily left the company. 4 at the probations. The reason was what the branch manager said to her. I heard that story. After that, Carrie struggled to find work, moving to an area with lower land prices, but still without a job.
Hearing that story.
Without significant achievements or qualifications and high pride, she wouldn't be valued much in the job market. Surprisingly, Carrie asked, "Please forgive me, and could you help me find the job?" Again, Carla refused, but then Carrie even asked, "At least lend me some money."
There's a ceremony I'd like you to sing, if possible. It's also Dad's wish.
Don't make it a sound by us. I will write a parody, read a parody.
Ike said with a smile, "I'd stand by you. Be with us, stand by you, I am with you."